Welcome back to our Steven. Today we've got an update-filled story where a mom snaps at her son over homework and it spirals into a full family collapse, all starting with a post titled, "Am I the jerk for telling my wife that I'll lose respect for her if she doesn't apologize?" My wife and I have 3 kids. Thursday, my wife was helping our 9-year-old with her homework. She was supposed to fill in a chart with the times tables. That was a hectic day. Our 4-year-old threw up and I was trying to clean him up, and my wife was having trouble getting our 9-year-old to focus on what she was doing because she kept looking at me. Our 9-year-old hates math and is pretty bad at it, which annoys my wife, who is usually fantastic at math. My wife asked our daughter what 7 times 7 was. Our daughter said she didn't know. My wife kept telling her to try to think of any answer. She kept saying she didn't know. My wife was getting frustrated. Our daughter finally guessed 37. My wife said, "Close, 47. Our 13-year-old then said, "No, Mom, it's 49. My wife snapped at that point and told him to shut up and go upstairs. He went into the backyard instead. She took a deep breath and then went into our room. I finished with our 4-year-old and then went outside. I tried to talk to him, but he didn't want to listen. He kept saying, "But Dad, 7 times 7 is 49. I told him his mom just got frustrated and didn't mean to yell at him. He kept insisting that 7 times 7 is 49, which I am aware of, so I got nowhere. I went back inside to talk to my wife. She said she knew she shouldn't have yelled. She said she was frustrated because he was distracting her, and that's why she made the mistake. I pointed out that she made the mistake before he said anything. She started crying and asked why I was being so critical. I apologized and told her I loved her. We hugged it out, but then I asked her if she was going to go and apologize to our 13-year-old. She said no, because he shouldn't have interrupted her. She said he was rude and needed to learn not to interrupt. I told her it's not okay to tell him to shut up. We went back and forth, and finally I said I won't be able to respect her as much if she doesn't apologize. That really hurt her. She said she needed space. She hasn't said a word to me or him since Thursday. I know that what I said is harsh, but I can't respect someone who won't apologize when they make a mistake. Am I the jerk? My sister says I am because I'm not being supportive, and our 13-year-old is a lot. Update: my wife got up before our alarm and started cleaning our bathroom. I started the laundry and made breakfast. She didn't say a word when she sat down to eat. She ate much faster than normal. She stood up, picked up our 4-year-old, and told our 9-year-old to get ready because they were going to the library. She didn't say anything to our 13-year-old. I told her we need to talk, and she shook her head. I followed her upstairs and insisted that we need to talk. She just kept shaking her head. She went into our 4-year-old's room and locked the door. I went downstairs and told our 13 and 9-year-old that we're going to the dog park. They both asked if Mom was okay, and I said yes and that she needed space. I grabbed some clothes for our 9-year-old from the laundry room, and she got changed in the downstairs bathroom. We are at the dog park, and my wife is refusing to answer my texts. I'm starting to think this isn't about math. So that was the end of the original post, and I'll get into the updates in just a second here, but I've got to say, it's kind of tragic that something as simple as 7 times 7 can put a wedge between a mom and their 13-year-old kid. That alone, combined with the fact that the OP is at a dog park somewhere writing this Reddit post up, tells you there has to be more to it than that. So the OP goes on to make an update post 2 days later. Update: yesterday, Sunday, my wife wanted to take the 2 younger children to the library. I tried to talk to her, but she locked herself in our 4-year-old's room. I took our older 2 children to the dog park. She took our 4-year-old to the library. At the dog park, I talked to our 13-year-old. I explained to him that a lot was going on right now and his mother was overwhelmed. I said that sometimes when a person is overwhelmed, the next thing that happens, good, bad, or neutral, is the thing that pushes them over. And the source of that thing, good, bad, or neutral, is what they lash out at. I said his mom was wrong to lash out at him, but it wasn't his fault and she didn't really mean it. I said she was embarrassed and that was why she was avoiding him. He said that wasn't fair, and we kept going back and forth. I was trying to help him understand he didn't do anything wrong and shouldn't feel bad, but all he could focus on was that he was being treated unfairly. I told him that it was unfair, but that his mom isn't perfect and everyone makes mistakes. I said sometimes he's unfair, but we forgive him because we love him. I said forgiving his mom, even though she's wrong, would be a nice way to show his love for her, but that he doesn't have to. Again, he just said that the situation was unfair, which it really is. After the dog park, I took our 13-year-old to a friend's house and our 9-year-old to a friend of mine's house. I went home and made dinner. However, my wife went out for dinner with our 4-year-old, so she didn't get home until after I had put everything away. I told her that we had to talk now that the older kids aren't here and that not talking wasn't an option anymore. She still ignored me, so I said that if she wouldn't engage with me, I would have to call our sisters and get them to come over to help me. She got very angry, but she finally engaged. She told me that she's drowning. She said work is exhausting, and every day when she gets home, her patience is already below 0. She's scared and upset by our 4-year-old's stomach issues. She said he threw up again at dinner. She really shouldn't have taken him out to eat because we're supposed to keep track of everything he eats before throwing up or not throwing up before the appointment today, which is impossible to do at a restaurant, but I didn't mention that. She said that she can't take our 13-year-old's behavior anymore. I said he didn't do anything wrong Thursday. She said that when we were that age, if we interrupted our parents to tell them that they were wrong, we would have been punished severely. She said we raised a spoiled, entitled child. She said she can never get any peace and quiet in our own home that we worked hard to pay for because we have a spoiled teen that refuses to ever stop talking or making noise. I said we have been working on those behaviors and he has been improving. But she lashed out when he was trying to be helpful, and that sends the wrong message. She told me that I'm not supporting her. She said things need to change. She said that we need to crack down and stop being so lenient. If he plays the recorder after we've told him he's done for the night, we need to take it. If he interrupts, he needs to go straight to his room. If he argues about curfew, he needs to lose privileges. I told her we need to take a step back. I said if she is overwhelmed, she needs to take a break. I told her this heightened emotional state is a bad time to make huge household changes. I suggested, like many commenters did, that she get a hotel for a few days and decompress. She said she's not the problem. I didn't say she was. And he is. She said he was bad from the beginning. She said when our daughter didn't have all his issues, she thought it was because she's a girl. But our 4-year-old is a boy and is also better behaved, so he is the problem. She also said that I've always seen it and used to admit it, but stopped to make her look crazy. For context, I used to joke that our 13-year-old is a changeling because he likes to be outside so much, loves animals, and loves playing on his recorder. I want to stress that this was a joke. The reason I stopped making this joke is because I noticed my wife didn't find it funny anymore. This was years ago anyway. I said all that, and she said no, that I saw even then that he is wrong, but stopped acknowledging it to make her feel like the problem. She also said that she has been seeing an online therapist. I had no idea. She said she didn't tell me because she was embarrassed. Her therapist told her that our son has dangerous tendencies and shows signs of being contemptuous towards women because he doesn't respect his mother. I had no idea how to respond to that. I said any therapist who would say something like that about a child they've never met shouldn't be licensed, and if it's an online therapist, for all she knows, they aren't. At the end of our conversation, she agreed to go to the hotel only if she took our 4-year-old with her, because she wanted to be the one to take him to his medical appointment. I didn't think that was a good idea at all. However, she ended up just taking him and going. I picked up the kids and brought them home. They sensed that something is wrong and were very subdued this morning, getting ready for school. I talked to my boss when I came in, and he's going to let me leave early to go to our 4-year-old's medical appointment. I am not sure what will happen there. I'm hoping it'll be good news and that will all make us feel less on edge. So I just have to say, I'm not crazy for saying that it is crazy that this mom is saying that 13-year-old was bad from the beginning. I mean, if anything, if I'm in the OP's position, I think I would find it horrifying to hear those things come out of my wife's mouth. The fact that OP had joked about those things, stopped when they noticed that she wasn't laughing at them anymore, and then realized she stopped laughing because she thought, oh, this is serious, and OP completely believes their kid is some broken changeling thing. It's pretty horrifying to hear, is it not? The OP one day after that then goes on to make another new post. Should I have my child reevaluated? When my 13-year-old was in the first grade, his teacher suggested we have him evaluated for autism, which was done through the school. The psychologist who evaluated him said that he did not have autism or any other neurological condition. She said that while he did have some traits associated with autism, he didn't meet the diagnostic criteria, and that none of the traits he exhibited interfered with his ability to function as necessary in his day-to-day life. Recently, I made a post that mentioned my son, and droves of commenters demanded he be reevaluated. They cited as evidence something called justice sensitivity, his love for music, animals and the outdoors, his habit of interrupting, and his habit of constantly talking. I mentioned that he had been evaluated and the psychologist had said he isn't autistic, but I was told sometimes teens are easier to diagnose. I don't think he is autistic, mainly because a specialist said he isn't, but I also have other reasons. He understands sarcasm perfectly well and has no trouble identifying emotions from facial expressions and tone. He has a lot of friends and is good at interacting with people, even strangers. He's not sensitive to stressful stimuli like loud noises or unpleasant textures. He's not obsessed with routine. The commenters are convinced my son is autistic. So, I thought I would come to a subreddit more specific to that issue for a different take. The thing is, I don't want to have my son reevaluated. I think he would interpret that as me saying there is something wrong with him, which there isn't. He's a very normal teenage boy. If he was autistic, I would want him diagnosed, but I really don't think he is. I appreciate any insight anyone is willing to share. The OP also made a very similar post to r/medical advice, but it's more or less the same thing, just asking for advice on whether or not they should get their kid tested. Thing is, they're 13 years old and the whole interrupted thing was just saying, no mom, 7 times 7 is 49. That's the thing you need to get your 13-year-old kid tested for autism for? I think I would question your judgment if that's the criteria you use to get your 13-year-old kid tested again. The OP then goes on to post another update post 2 more days later. My wife lied to me and I don't know who she is anymore. I should probably stop posting online. It's, in all likelihood, an unhealthy coping mechanism. The thing is, this has become the only place I can speak freely. In my real life, I have to be so careful with every word I say. I just need to say one more thing to get this off my chest and then be done. It wasn't always like this. Most of the story is a romance. I met my wife in college. I liked her immediately. She was beautiful, of course. She was funny and smart, naturally. The thing that made me attracted to her, that made me want her, was that she was sharp. I have always loved sharpness in women. I was sharp myself back then. We sharpened each other. We were the couple that sat in the back of every room with our noses turned up, judging everyone, whispering comments just loud enough to be heard, and just cutting enough to hurt. We thought we were so smart and sophisticated. Our tastes were the most refined, and we didn't think anything was uglier than a rounded edge. When I first asked her out, she told me we wouldn't work because her father wouldn't approve. I didn't care about her father, I cared about her. The more time we spent together, the more I loved her. Her father's first words to me, even before hello, were that I wasn't good enough for his daughter. He refused to come to our wedding, but the day after, he gave my wife $20,000 for a down payment because no daughter of his was going to be a renter. I never liked him, but I was amused by him. I thought of him as my wife and I's private joke. He was ineffectual against our love. When he saw our first baby, he said, "He looks like his father." And I was such a puffed up peacock high in my own virility. I was too proud of my strong seed, my overpowering genes to see that for what it was. A condemnation. When I held my firstborn for the first time, the world felt different. I felt different. I felt silly and immature. I began to understand the utility of the rounded edge. I saw how unimportant my high-minded philosophy was. Babies don't care how clever you are. They eat, cry, and poop, and they're the most important thing you'll ever do. I softened up. I began to understand my parents. I always adored my mother, while also looking down on her. Her politics were boring, her philosophy uninspired, her religion sentimental. When I held my baby, I understood my mother like I'd never had before. She was soft, not sharp, and that was what my child needed from me. A soft place to land, not a razor's edge. We managed to adjust to every change in our lives. We always found our equilibrium. About a year ago, that slipped away. Our toddler was struggling with potty training, and he had the occasional bad bout of diarrhea. Our daughter began to dip below average at school. Our oldest became the worst thing a person can be, annoying. We, who had once prided ourselves in our cleverness, were being outsmarted by a pedantic 12-year-old. You didn't say I could only spend $20. You said I couldn't buy anything over $20. Each of these 20 things are $5. Type nonsense. It was the grandparents' revenge, right? Oh, that's the kind of little jerk I used to be. I see why some people hated me. But he's a good kid. He doesn't steal, hit, curse, or lie. He argued, he talked too much, and he complained. But isn't that all a symptom of cleverness? He was too much like us. However, he was also nothing like us, this child we created. But isn't that good? Don't we want our children to be individuals? Yes, the arguing and interrupting had to be curbed, but we worked on it. He improved, he started to mature. Life was a struggle, but he wasn't the struggle. The parenting thing is hard. My wife cracked. It happens. We've all been there. Our son corrected a mistake she made, and she was embarrassed. She screamed at him to shut up. I asked her to apologize because he didn't deserve that. She shut down. She told me that she was overwhelmed. I get it. I'm overwhelmed too. I think I've been overwhelmed for a long time and just refused to acknowledge it. I told her to take a break. She took a break. My wife, who I have always trusted, lied to me. She said she quit her job. That was a lie. She did not quit. She was suspended, and she will likely be fired on Friday or possibly next week. She has been telling me all year that her coworkers are incompetent and she is the only one doing her job correctly. In actuality, she has been in a performance improvement plan for months. Why was she suspended? She was telling a coworker that he needed to finish something by the end of the month to keep them on track for a February 3rd deadline. He interrupted her to tell her the deadline was March 2nd. She screamed at him to shut up and not interrupt her. She did the same thing to her coworker as she did to our son. The only difference is our household doesn't have an HR department. She lied to me. Is that what I should be hung up on? Probably not. Here's what's killing me. Here's what I can't say in real life to anyone, so I'll tell you. I always thought she was sharp, and I loved that. I thought I was so sophisticated for recognizing her elegance and worth. I felt special for loving her, but maybe she isn't sharp. Maybe she's just thin-skinned and irritable. Yeah, she lied to me, but maybe I lied to myself first. This last update, by the way, OP had posted to rSlash off my chest. I think it's kind of a sign that OP is just going through it right now. And I'll say it again. Seeing your wife say that kind of stuff about your 13-year-old son to your face, it's not a shock that you see the woman that you thought you loved for years say that about your own kid, and it begins to make you wonder, did I apply too much of a rose-tinted lens to this whole relationship? The OP then, 5 days later, made another update post. Update, my wife finally apologized, but I already lost some of my respect for her. I'm still getting notifications asking questions about certain things, so here's an update to clear everything up. I retrieved our 4-year-old at his doctor's appointment the next day. She stayed at the hotel alone Monday and Tuesday night. Wednesday, she told me she quit her job. She did not quit her job. A concerned coworker of hers reached out and revealed the truth. She was suspended for yelling at a coworker to shut up. She picked the kids up from school and daycare Wednesday. After they were asleep, I confronted her. We fought, and she went to stay with my sister. With my sister's influence, she called her boss and managed to work out a compromise where she won't be fired and can have some mental health leave. She didn't see the kids all weekend, even when my sister picked them up Sunday to take them to a party. She's back home now, so here's where the update starts. Update: I had our 13-year-old evaluated by a child psychologist like so many Redditors suggested. If you learn anything from my experience, learn not to take medical advice from Reddit. Our son is not autistic and does not have ADD. The psychologist said the only thing he comes close to meeting the diagnostic criteria for is anxiety, but based on their discussion and the paperwork I filled out, she's confident those symptoms come from external stressors, not an anxiety disorder. My wife came home after work, and when our son arrived home from his friend's house, she did apologize to him. He forgave her and they hugged it out, but it was an awkward interaction. Afterwards, he went outside to play with his new harmonica. My daughter doesn't have a learning disability. I talked to her teacher. Her math skills are average for her age group according to the teacher. The teacher suggested that if she's struggling to do the math work at home, it's because she feels pressured. I ended up telling her that she can do the work in whatever time frame she wants, and she can have her brother check it for her, so neither her mother nor I will know if she made a mistake. She seems happy with this new arrangement. I think my wife and I were too critical in our eagerness to encourage her to work hard and do well, and I accept culpability for that. Our 4-year-old is allergic to soy. Since I stopped feeding him anything with soy in it, he hasn't vomited once. He will soon be reintroduced to soy in very small doses to acclimate him. He is doing much better, and this has relieved a huge source of stress. As for my wife, as I said, she apologized to our son. She said talking to my sister helped a lot. She told me the reason she's been so overwhelmed and she lashed out was the realization that we aren't going to have another kid and the 3 we have are it. She said she's worried that our kids are spoiled and soft. She said that she wants our kids to bypass their peers and doesn't see that happening right now because they're too undisciplined and unmotivated. She said some of her dad's parenting might be what they need. I told her I would never be okay with that, and that would be a deal breaker for me. I also told her that I don't see how anxiety about the kids caused her to lash out at work. I said that I think she's frustrated by the fact that she can't control people. She said that's unfair, and I apologized, but also said that I think an issue similar to what I said is the likely culprit. We agreed to a compromise where she tries to relax until she leaves for her trip with my sister. If she feels she's getting stressed out, she'll leave for as long as needed. We'll talk about parenting strategies again after she gets back. I have hired a lawyer and didn't tell her. If she again tries to insist that we go full authoritarian on the kids, I will raise the possibility of divorce. I love my wife, but I owe it to my kids to put them first. I just have to say, this update started sounding so good and like things might actually move forward and work out, and then OP slaps me in the face with, "By the way, I've hired a lawyer and I'm thinking about divorce." Which, I get it, you don't want your kids exposed to anything that's going to stress them out or break them or mess with their childhood years. But man, it went from the wife is apologizing and is trying to figure out the mental health problems and maybe the family will come back together again. Nope, I still think this thing's headed for the rocks, OP says. The OP then 2 weeks later makes another update post. Update: my wife isn't coming home. My wife is on vacation with my sister after a mini mental breakdown. She just WhatsApped me that she isn't coming back. She said she needs to make some changes and the new year is the perfect time. She told me that a startup working on a cause she's passionate about is looking for someone in her field. She's taking the job and moving to the opposite coast. Shock doesn't feel like the right word. It doesn't feel big enough. She wanted to stress that she isn't leaving me, that she just needs to pursue her passion. She said if this startup takes off, we can all move to where she's going and resettle and get a fresh start. She also said that this new job is closer to the clinic our son's pediatrician recommended for his allergy treatment. I started to argue with her, but then I deleted the message. We're doing okay without her, as awful as that sounds. Maybe she needs this. I looked into the startup. I don't think it'll take off, but maybe she just needs a break from us to recenter herself. So I told her I love her, that I believe in her, and that I'm proud of her for following her dreams. What else could I say? My sister is ticked at her for abandoning us, and this has pretty much ruined their trip. I think I should feel bad about that, but I'm too burnt out. 2026. It's going to be a year. The OP then made another update post 5 days later. What happened while my wife was overseas? I have an appointment with a lawyer tomorrow to file for divorce. In my last update, I told people that my wife wasn't coming home, but I still think I can fix things if I give her space. I no longer believe that. Several of you, most of you not very nicely, told me that she had abandoned our family. I didn't want to believe it, but you're right. I picked my sister up from the airport this morning, and we had a long conversation where she filled in details. When my wife, her sister, my sister, and her wife got to the resort, everything was fine at first. It didn't take long for my wife's sister to show her butt, though. She called my sister a slur that rhymes with bike, other slur that rhymes with bike. She called my sister's wife a stick with P instead of T, that second bike slur. Editor's note, as there was some confusion. The first bike slur is an anti-Semitic slur, as OP's family is Jewish. The second bike slur is a homophobic slur, and the stick slur is a racial slur against Hispanics. So that caused a huge fight. My wife cursed out her sister, rightfully, and moved into the room where my sister was sharing with her wife to get away from her sister. My wife told my sister more about the situation with the kids. She said that she feels like she failed our oldest and he's completely beyond help. She said he is so disrespectful and obnoxious and she doesn't understand how she let it get to this point. Our son, by the way, made his little siblings breakfast and played Monopoly with them while I was up crazy early picking my sister and her wife up from the airport. Evil child, clearly. My sister told my wife our oldest is just a teenager and that she's attaching significance to really insignificant things. My sister said teenagers are all annoying, but it isn't the end of the world. My wife said her dad wouldn't put up with that kind of behavior. My sister pointed out that her dad raised her sister, who goes around calling people slurs. My wife said that was her husband's influence, which, whatever. My wife also said she thinks our daughter is stupid. My sister was shocked to hear that. Our daughter's academic performance at school is average. Most kids are average. That's what average means. She isn't stupid, she's normal. My wife talked about a startup in California an old classmate of hers is going to work for. They do work she really believes in. She said she wanted to move to California to work for them, and also so our youngest will be closer to a particular allergy clinic. My sister tried to tell her that that's all crazy, but that didn't work, since my wife is currently on her way to California, or maybe she already landed, I'm not sure. My sister is angry with my wife and doesn't ever want to talk to her again. They've always been close friends, so that really brought home to me how insane her behavior is. My sister thinks she's lying about having the job too. She thinks my wife is planning to apply in California and that no job offer has been made yet. I wouldn't believe that if not for her previous lie about her current job. To protect myself, I opened a new bank account and switched my direct deposit. I also prepaid a lot of things that get paid from the joint account so she can't drain it and leave us in a bad spot. I opened a new account specifically for the mortgage, transferred 6 payments into it, and put that on autopay. I won't use it for anything else. I bought a bunch of gift cards from the grocery store we use as well, so if she does drain the account, we'll be able to buy food. I prepared the daycare and school fees and activity fees for the kids as far as possible. I paid off and closed our joint cards. She still has her personal cards and I still have mine. This is going to be messy as heck, and I'm not looking forward to it. The worst thing is that the kids are sad their mom isn't coming home. Of course, I didn't tell them what she said about them. Our oldest thinks she went to California to hang out with other cool people because we aren't cool enough for her. I told him that isn't true, but he doesn't believe me. I'm just devastated by all this. The person I'm supposed to be able to rely on abandoned me. And finally, the OP posted another update post 3 weeks later. Update: I have full custody of the children. My wife and I are not getting divorced at this time, but I do have full custody of the children. My wife flew back for court. She fought only for our 2 younger children. The judge asked her why she didn't want our oldest. She said he had behavioral problems. The judge didn't believe her because she had no proof. I was given full physical custody of the children. Legal custody is shared. She returned to California after the hearing. She cannot come back and take the kids. This is a huge relief. Whatever she does or doesn't do in California, I'm not really concerned with at this point. Even though we haven't started the divorce process, we've both decided to open up our relationship, since she has no idea if or when she'll come back, and I told her I'm not willing to move to California. She assured me her birth control is intact, so if she finds a partner, she can't get pregnant. I believe her. I've started reaching out to friends for suggestions of women my age or older that might be interested. I'm focused on the kids, but if something happens, that would be great. I really miss my wife even after everything. We tried to make plans to get together before court, but I wasn't comfortable having her at the house, and I couldn't leave the kids alone to visit her. She suggested I have our oldest babysit, but that seemed like too much pressure on him with everything going on. That's when we made the decision to open the relationship. Part of me hopes that after seeing what else is out there, it'll make her want to come home, but realistically, I know this is the beginning of the end. So that's the final update, and I gotta admit, I'm pretty darn confused because it felt like OP kind of had their head on their shoulders and could rationalize exactly what the wife was doing here. They contacted a lawyer like 3 or 4 updates ago, and yet at the end, we'll open up the relationship, we'll see if things maybe happen. Maybe, hopefully she'll come crawling back to me even though she's all but disowned our oldest child. I think a user in the comments named Mountain Dew Baka Blast said it best. They first quoted, "Even though we haven't started the divorce process, we have both decided to open up our relationship," writing, "Once again, we are at the part where I am throwing popcorn at the screen of the horror movie as I yell, 'No! Don't go in the turbo-haunted basement! Don't arm yourself with the satanic baseball bat that's filled with the soul of the most malevolent orphan in all of Victorian England! No!' It's not the beginning of the end, dude. It's the end. You're not opening the relationship, you're closing it forever after you put it in a little casket and then the priest says some nice words and it gets buried in the ground because it's gone. It is no longer extant. It is an ex-parent relationship. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another crazy update-filled story, why not check out that video on the left of the screen right now? Or if you missed my latest video, you can check that out on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time, preferably not in the turbo-haunted basement armed with a satanic baseball bat filled with the soul of the most malevolent orphan in all of Victorian England, next time with some more stories.